At 56, gospel legend Marvin Sapp has stepped into a season of openness, one that many fans both anticipated and feared. The celebrated pastor, recording artist, and man of deep faith has always poured his soul into his music, but this time his revelations have come outside of the studio, exposing truths that many quietly suspected yet never fully understood. It is a story filled with heartache, triumph, faith, and the complexities of a man who has lived in the public eye while carrying private burdens that would break most. For years, Marvin Sapp has been known for his powerful ballads like Never Would Have Made It and The Best in Me, songs that are deeply personal but also universally relatable. They have been anthems of survival for countless people who faced their own valleys. What many didn't know, however, was just how deeply those songs were rooted in his own life experiences. At 56, Marvin is no longer holding back. His honesty has laid bare the layers of grief, loneliness, responsibility, and the often crushing weight of expectation that came after the world placed him on a pedestal as both a bishop and gospel superstar. The heartbreaking truth centers on two pivotal struggles: the loss of his beloved wife, Dr. Melinda Sapp, and the lingering effects of grief that followed him for years. While the public saw him continue to sing, pastor, and smile, the private Marvin was navigating an ocean of loneliness that nearly consumed him. Losing his wife in 2010 to colon cancer left him a widower at just 43 years old, raising 3 children alone while leading one of the fastest-growing churches in Michigan. It was a role that stretched him beyond what he felt capable of handling. Fans often speculated how he managed to stay so strong, but Marvin now admits that strength was sometimes just a mask. Behind closed doors, the tears flowed, the questions piled up, and the weight of having to be the strong one became unbearable. In his candid confession, Marvin shared that while people celebrated him as a man of God with unwavering faith, there were moments when he felt abandoned, even by God himself. He admitted that his ministry and career kept him busy enough to avoid addressing his deepest wounds. Travel, recording, pastoring, and preaching became distractions, but the silence of the night often revealed a man struggling with profound loneliness. He confessed to battling with depression at times, something he had been hesitant to speak about openly in the past. For years, he carried the belief that showing his pain would disappoint those who looked to him as an example of faith. But now, at 56, Marvin insists that revealing his truth is not a sign of weakness but rather an act of healing, for himself and for others who silently endure the same. Another aspect of his revelation is about love, relationships, and the unspoken expectations placed upon him. Since Melinda's passing, fans and church members have speculated about whether he would remarry. Marvin now acknowledges that while companionship is something he longed for, he struggled with fear. Fear of betrayal, fear of not finding someone who could love him authentically beyond his fame, and fear of failing his children by making the wrong choice. He admits he wrestled with the guilt of even considering love again, feeling as though it would somehow dishonor the memory of his wife. This tension between moving forward and holding on to the past created a kind of paralysis in his personal life. What makes Marvin's honesty even more compelling is how he ties his struggles to broader truths about the Black church, manhood, and leadership. He pointed out how men, especially leaders in ministry, are often discouraged from showing vulnerability. He spoke about how damaging it can be to bottle up emotions in an effort to maintain an image of strength. Marvin revealed that part of the heartbreaking truth is the silent suffering of countless pastors and leaders who are drowning beneath the pressure to always appear resilient. His own story, he says, is proof that pretending only prolongs the pain. Yet even in his confessions, Marvin's testimony is not one of despair but of resilience. He credits his children for being his anchor when life felt unbearable. Their need for him to show up as both mother and father gave him purpose in his darkest moments. He also acknowledges therapy as a tool he once avoided, but has now embraced. In doing so, he has become an advocate for mental health in the church, urging others to seek help instead of hiding behind spiritual cliches. He says prayer and faith remain central, but professional help is equally important, a truth that many in his community suspected he lived by but never heard him admit outright until now. Fans also long suspected that some of Marvin's greatest songs were autobiographical, and he has now confirmed it. Never Would Have Made It, for instance, was written in a moment of desperation after his father's passing, but it took on new meaning after his wife's death. Marvin revealed that the song became his personal lifeline, a declaration he sang to himself night after night. He now admits that when audiences wept and worshiped through the song, they weren't just connecting with a catchy melody but with his raw cry of survival. Similarly, The Best in Me was birthed out of seasons when he felt overlooked and misunderstood. He confesses that he wrote it as a reminder to himself that God's perspective mattered more than human opinion. At 56, Marvin Sapp is not only exposing his truth but also reframing his future. He is stepping into a season where honesty and transparency are his ministry just as much as music and preaching. He says the gospel community has long avoided uncomfortable conversations about grief, loneliness, and mental health, but he is determined to change that narrative. He believes his pain has positioned him to minister in a deeper way, one that goes beyond Sunday sermons and award-winning albums. His story is both heartbreaking and inspiring because it reveals that even those we idolize wrestle with fears, regrets, and unanswered prayers. It shatters the illusion of perfection and reminds us that leaders are human too. Marvin's willingness to say, "I was broken, I am still healing," gives permission to others to embrace their process without shame. As he continues his journey, Marvin is clear that this is not the end but a new chapter. He is open to love again, though cautious. He is committed to fatherhood, though his children are now grown. He is dedicated to his church, though he no longer sacrifices his mental health for appearances. Above all, he is learning to live authentically, without the weight of unrealistic expectations. The heartbreaking truth exposed at 56 is that Marvin Sapp is not the invincible giant many assumed him to be. He is a man who has been scarred, tested, and stretched beyond measure. Yet in exposing his weakness, he has revealed a deeper strength, one that comes not from pretending to have it all together, but from embracing the messy, painful, and complicated reality of life. For his fans, his honesty is both sobering and liberating. It confirms what they always suspected, that behind the music, behind the sermons, behind the accolades was a man who bled just like them. And in that truth, Marvin Sapp continues to minister, perhaps more powerfully than ever before.